Welcome to this Tuesday's edition of the Weather Desk. We are so happy to bring these to you. These are live streams, and we air them as close to 9 o'clock as we can get the stream started, and we run about a half an hour or so. It's a deeper dive into some of the biggest weather headlines and some of the topics that folks want to know about. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, and I am delighted to be with you. My name is Craig Moeller. I'm a meteorologist at 13 News Now, and here are some of the topics we're going to dive into. We have the winter solstice coming up Saturday. I don't know if you're like me, but the days where you have very little daylight and it's all this darkness, it can wear on you a little bit. I'm looking forward to more sunshine. We'll talk about that and when exactly that occurs. We're also going to take a look at NASA's plans to touch the sun. They're going to come really close to the sun. We're going to talk about that, why they're doing it. We have a NASA expert I caught up with, and I want to share some of that interview with you. And in addition to that, we've got the holiday travel outlook as a bonus topic. We're going to talk about some sinking cities around the United States, some areas where the ground is actually sinking and buildings are going down a little bit. So kind of an interesting topic there as well. So plenty to talk about. We're going to start with our days and the fact that the days will soon be getting longer. Now you think about it, we talk about the summer solstice and the winter solstice, and this Saturday, we have the winter solstice. So what exactly is it? Well, it's all about the tilt of the Earth. The axis is tilted, and the direct rays of the sun will be at their farthest point to the south. So the direct rays in the southern hemisphere, and that's because the Earth's axial tilt is farthest from the sun during the winter solstice. That's what's going to happen. So the sun will be the lowest position in the sky that we have all year, and the longer days are coming. Let's give you a little more information on this. All right, so it's actually going to occur, that farthest south point with the sun's position. It occurs at 4:20 Saturday morning, and the daylight, the amount of time that we'll actually have daylight, 9 hours and 38 minutes. So you think about that, 9 hours and 38 minutes of daylight. The rest of the time, it's before sunrise and after sunset, it's dark, right? This is 5 hours and 3 minutes shorter than our longest day. So you think about that. Longest day of the year, we have 14 hours and 41 minutes of daylight. This Saturday, shortest day. After that, even though it's going to be cold, we're getting into the winter months here, we will look forward to more and more sunlight. So I'm super excited. I wanted to share that with you. Our next topic, while we're talking about the sun, I want to talk to you about what NASA is doing to study the sun and the solar activity. They have the Parker Solar Probe, and this is really cool. I caught up with NASA expert Nikki Rail yesterday, and here's what she had to tell me. Now, how close is it going to get to the sun? You think about this, and when you talk about the actual distances, it sounds like it's far away, but this is really pretty incredibly close.
It is. So if you can imagine like a football field, one end zone is the Earth and one end zone is the sun. We're on like the 4-yard line of the sun right now. It's incredible. We're really close, within 3.8 million miles. So we're literally touching the star. We're touching our star, and inside that atmosphere of the sun, to really understand the start of solar wind and how that energy flows out from our star all the way to Earth, showing things like aurora, which you were talking about.
Yeah, so cool. Now, with the total solar eclipse, when there's totality, you could see kind of the almost, it looks like a feathery or almost ghostly kind of ring around the moon, and that's kind of the outer reaches of the sun's atmosphere. Is this going to get close enough to actually kind of interact with some of that? How does this work?
Yeah, you're right. So that corona, that outermost atmosphere of the sun, is that wispy kind of feathery layer. I was so excited to see it with my naked eyes during the total solar eclipse. And yes, indeed, Parker Solar Probe is in that corona, taking measurements and understanding what is going on at the start of all the energy that's flowing out and the kind of irregularity of that corona. It's incredible.
It's been so active this year. We've had these solar storms, and it seems like for the past few years, the sun's in a pretty active cycle. What do scientists hope to gain from this? What are we really going to try to learn?
Yeah, you're right. So we're actually in the middle of something called solar maximum, or a really busy active time in the sun. The sun has an 11-year cycle, and we just happen to be in that big, busy peak period where we're seeing more energy flowing out, more coronal mass ejections, more solar flares. And so this is an unprecedented time for Parker to be in there and taking measurements and gaining us important scientific data to better understand what's happening during these busy periods of the sun.
I had so much fun talking with Nikki yesterday about the project, and I can tell you we have like an 8 or 9 minute interview there that runs on. You can find that online at 13newsnow.com if you're interested. Couple quick points. You know, at its fastest point, this is going to be the fastest man-made object ever. Okay, that probe, when it gets close to the sun, is going to be moving at about 430,000 miles per hour. Think about that, 430,000 miles per hour. To give you some perspective, you could travel at that speed from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. in 1 second. That's how fast that thing is going to be flying. And they hope to use this thing for years as it studies. It's going to make that close pass, the first really close pass, coming up on Christmas Eve, and we'll start getting data in. And it should help them with planning for missions to the moon, missions to Mars. You think about all the solar activity, how it can interfere with space objects and satellites, communications, and it can put things at risk from the solar storms above our Earth's atmosphere. So we hope to get a lot of information from that, and I just applaud NASA and all the work, the team that goes into making all that stuff happen. It's been fascinating, and we'll continue to watch that story. Again, if you want more on that full 8.5 or 9 minute interview is available online at 13newsnow.com. You can check it out. All right, what we're going to check out now is our next topic, and we're going to talk about the holiday travel outlook. So let's take a look now. We're going to start off with a look at where we've seen some unsettled weather, and I'm going to head over to the big board. Let's take a look, and I'll talk to you about what's happening. There's a frontal boundary out to the west that's going to come through our area, and it's going to cool us down after a couple of warm days. Right now, we're seeing warm weather in the mid-Atlantic. There's a potential for some storms this afternoon. Really, again, you can see this morning they had a little bit of this, that chance of storms maybe sliding a little bit farther to the east. It was only a level 1 threat, so we didn't expect a lot of severe weather back out there to the west, but it's an area that we're watching because this front is going to be somewhat potent. We're also looking at some energy coming down from Canada and more snow across the northern tier of the U.S. Also still a little unsettled for the northwest. So that's what's happening right now. You can see where that front is located here. And again, high pressure building in behind it, another shot of cold air starting to push down from Canada, and that unsettled weather associated with this low kind of creeping into the picture as well. We'll pick up our futurecast, and I'm going to start off with one of our higher resolution models. This is the graph model, and you can see again how there's a potential for some more scattered wet weather, maybe some stronger storms developing later in the day with that level 1 threat for severe storms. This is through Wednesday afternoon as that kind of progresses. Now notice that there's this unsettled weather, more snow across parts of upstate New York, parts of western Pennsylvania. Some of you may be getting a super early jump on your holiday travels if you're leaving tomorrow. I think a lot of folks will be heading out over the weekend to spend that whole holiday week between this weekend and the following weekend after Christmas. That'll be a big travel time for a lot of folks. So we're going to focus on that in a little more detail, but let's run the model forward. This is through Thursday, and you'll notice we had this front pass through. Colder air is going to settle in for the mid-Atlantic and the northeast U.S. No doubt about that. Look at this next snowmaker. More snow for the Dakotas into Minnesota and Wisconsin. This is through noon on Thursday. Things pretty quiet across the southern and the southwest U.S. Another storm system with some wet weather off the Pacific Northwest. As this low kind of churns and settles a little farther to the south, we'll see some more unsettled weather here through Thursday evening. And into Friday, we could still see some unsettled weather in that area. Notice what the GFS, so I've switched now from the graph model to the GFS model. This is a longer range model. It's a medium range model, and it's a global model. So you don't get quite the detail that you get with like the graph, but It does give us a look ahead a little farther down the road, and I wanted to focus on that. The GFS really intensifies an area of low pressure. Again, it swings well off our coast, so I'm not too worried about that for us, but a big rainmaker churning up the seas, a lot of wind out there with this thing, and you might see the winds picking up, certainly up around Nova Scotia and some of those areas up along the Canadian Maritimes. But for most of the U.S., things are going to be just fine. That's through early Saturday, and away it goes. So travel Saturday into Sunday, not looking too bad. It will, of course, be a lot cooler in the east. As we take a look north central U.S., we've got some unsettled weather, and it looks like another storm system getting closer to the Pacific Northwest. As we go into Monday, this is the Monday before Christmas. Again, things not looking too bad along the East Coast. We do have some unsettled weather cutting across the central U.S. and some more energy kind of working from west to east into the Dakotas and Nebraska, back across Wyoming, some unsettled weather there. This is on Christmas morning. So little unsettled there, some snow back over some of the higher elevations, and you get that colder air getting pulled down across Montana. It looks like some rain across parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and down into Oklahoma, Texas panhandles. The East Coast should be pretty quiet, it looks like, going into Christmas morning. That's the forecast for Wednesday. As we look ahead to Thursday, that system pushes east, a little unsettled from the Great Lakes down through Texas. Things still looking pretty good for the Mid-Atlantic. So if you're going to be out maybe visiting grandma for Christmas Day, or maybe you've got somebody coming in to visit you and your family, you're going to be hosting. Things look pretty good leading into Christmas and coming out. Just a very low risk of a shower. I think things are okay. You will notice the temperatures warming up quite a bit. Now, as far as the snowfall potential goes, this is again based on the graph model, and this is just over the next 48 hours. More snow over the mountains there. You get up into the Rockies and northern Colorado. So beautiful. They get that fresh snowfall. Some snow back up over the western portions of Wyoming. Get up around Jackson Hole into Idaho, Montana. Whitefish, so pretty up there. Some fresh snow possible. Some more snow back across Washington State in the highest elevations, and a little bit here into New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Now, there will be more following that 48-hour period, but I did want to give you that look ahead through the next 48 hours. You see how it starts to fill in just a little bit after that. All right. Now let's talk temperatures and the big changes that are coming. They are going to come. While it's warm today here in the Mid-Atlantic, we're looking at highs today that will reach the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees. Now, the normal high for Norfolk, we're at 54 at Norfolk International Airport. We're going to be about 15 degrees above normal. So a lot of heat today, back in the mid to upper 60s tomorrow as well. So the next couple of days, staying warm here, but there is Arctic air that is coming. Notice things pretty warm out to the west as well. Now the cooler air kind of pulls up and starts to work to the south and to the southeast. There'll be a front that comes through late Wednesday. That may trigger a few showers here. And then we're going to see the cooler conditions settling in for Thursday and Friday. When I talk about cooler, I'm not talking about the big cool down that's coming for the weekend, but I am talking about temperatures going from the upper 60s to low 50s. And I think Thursday afternoon, we're looking at temperatures kind of settling into the mid and upper 40s. So it will be a little cooler Thursday and Friday. Now, as we get into Saturday, look at how the map here for the eastern seaboard from Maine all the way down through Georgia, Florida. These temperatures expected to be well below normal. We're looking at highs Saturday in the low to mid 40s. And as we get into Sunday, even chillier. Look at some of the purple there kind of working through parts of this region. Talking temperatures staying in the upper 30s for Sunday and Monday. So really, really cold weather. And the overnight lows, as we get into Sunday morning and Monday morning, I expect them all across the region here to be in the 20s. So it is certainly going to be cold along the East Coast, in the Mid-Atlantic, and up and down the eastern seaboard. While the western half to almost 2/3 is going to be above normal. So temperature changes coming to the East Coast. It's going to be warm out to the west. That's through Sunday. All right. We'll talk about the extended outlook here in just a moment for the week between Christmas and the first of the year. I've got that for you as well. Temperatures on Saturday. This is the big getaway day. Maybe you're going to be traveling down to Orlando or heading out to Atlanta. You're going to see a decent amount of sunshine. Again, temperatures cooler Even in Atlanta, 48, 46 in Raleigh. Temperatures cold enough for some snow up in New York City. Boston, chilly as well, 32. 27 in Cleveland. New Orleans, 53. 60 in Houston. So some chillier air breaking out. Chicago, you want to talk about cold. Chicago, 28, 36 in St. Louis. Chilly weather for Saturday, but decent amount of sunshine for the central U.S. and good old Minneapolis up there, 17 degrees up around the Twin Cities. For Denver, look at this. I mentioned the warmer weather out to the west. How about 60 degrees and sunshine, partly cloudy, 48 in Salt Lake, 65 in Vegas. Things looking pretty good temperature-wise around Phoenix. LA a little cooler. This is a little bit earlier in the day there at Los Angeles and San Francisco, a chance for showers, a little unsettled for Seattle. That's your Saturday forecast as we go over the coming days and leading up to Christmas. My colleagues from 13 News Now, our weather team, we will be working to update you on travel plans so you know what you're going to be dealing with. Here in Hampton Roads, I mentioned the big cool down, upper 60s today and tomorrow. That's Wednesday's high of 68. Down into the low 50s on Thursday. That's early in the morning. As we go through the afternoon on Thursday, I expect upper 40s. Near 50 on Friday, and then low to mid 40s Saturday, upper 30s Sunday and Monday. Wow, that's cold for Hampton Roads. That's going to be about 14, 15 degrees cooler than average Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, we're back in the mid 40s, then we warm it back up close to average on Christmas and warmer after that. Mentioned that warmer weather building back in between Christmas and New Year's Day. Let's take a look at the 8 to 14 day outlooks for that time period. So maybe you're going to spend a week at family or friends over this holiday week, and you're going to be there through the first of the year. Looks like it's going to be wet, certainly for the Pacific Northwest. It should be dry in the Southwest and pretty dry, at least drier than normal up in the Northeast. For the South Central U.S., maybe a bit warmer than normal, but pretty close to average. And we expect pretty close to average precip chances here around the Mid-Atlantic. Now the temperatures, look at this. This is that same period, talking temperatures above normal for almost the entire country. South Florida, close to average, but really everybody else likely to be above normal for that time period between Christmas and New Year's Eve. So a warm stretch of weather coming up over that week, pretty much anywhere across the country. Doesn't mean that there won't still be some cold areas, but this is a map that shows areas of warmer than normal or colder than normal temperatures, and the country is setting up for a warm week between December 25th and the 1st of the new year. So that's a look ahead. All right, as we take a look here, I want to give you a bonus topic, and I just thought this was really interesting. There are some parts of the country where some of the ground is sinking. All right, this is something that's been going on, but Florida researchers are specifically looking at some buildings in South Florida that are dealing with the issue, and Andrew Dimberg from ABC has more on that.
This morning, a new study warns dozens of buildings in South Florida are sinking. Researchers at the University of Miami found at least 35 coastal buildings affected by what they call subsidence.
I think what was a bit surprising in this study is of how consistent it was over a long distance of how the ground settled.
The study follows the collapse of a condo tower in Surfside, Florida in 2021, where 98 people were killed. Although sinking was not a factor in that disaster, researchers did find the building next door was sinking. And it's not just South Florida facing this sinking feeling.
In New Orleans and Mexico City or Venice is a classic example that the whole city sinks down. Compared to these examples, it's relatively small.
Scientists last year found New York City sinking at a rate of 1 to 4 millimeters per year. They suggest the weight of all those buildings may be speeding up the sinking. They've warned about more severe flooding in the Big Apple as sea levels rise. Meanwhile, in California, the pumping of groundwater is blamed for causing land in the San Joaquin Valley to sink at record levels. Researchers at Stanford found chronic overpumping of groundwater caused land there to sink by as much as 1 foot per year in some areas, causing damage to canals, wells, and other infrastructure, costing hundreds of millions of dollars to repair. Back in South Florida, like New York City, researchers have said the sinking is no cause for alarm. The more immediate concern may be the higher risk for flooding. Andrew Dimberg, ABC News, New York.
And I'll mention Norfolk is seeing a similar issue with our sinking ground, okay? We're actually sinking the city of Norfolk on average around 3.5 millimeters per year. So this is something that we continue to watch. Some areas a little bit less, other areas maybe a little bit more, but in general, that's kind of the thinking right now as it's been measured. And there's a number of reasons for that, but we're also concerned with sea level rise here in Norfolk. So we'll continue to watch that. Again, city managers and planners are well aware of this, and as they continue to plan for the future of Hampton Roads, that is something that they are considering. I just thought that was really interesting, and again, with the new research coming out from Florida, I wanted to share that with you. All right, we're going to take a look at what else is happening, what's ahead in Norfolk, and we'll get into that right now with our headlines. We have that unseasonably warm weather today, no doubt about it, upper 60s. A cold front's going to bring a chance for showers as we go late Wednesday, mainly after sunset Wednesday evening and into Wednesday night. Then that huge temperature drop. I gave you a little preview of that when you saw those temperatures Sunday into Monday in the upper 30s. So these are the headlines. This is what I want you to take away from the weather forecast for Hampton Roads. Yesterday's high was 54. That's normal. Picked up just under 1/10 of an inch. For the year, we're 1.7 inches above average. We are still in moderate drought. Some parts of our region in severe drought just to the north. So any rain we get is a blessing. None of these are really drought busters. So I don't expect the U.S. Drought Monitor to have a largely different impact map for us, but we might see some of those areas with severe drought maybe moving up, retreating a little bit to the north. We may see some areas showing a little bit more relief from the rain we did have. Again, we are back above average, so we did get some pretty good rain the end of last week. As we look forward, our rain chances are going to be pretty spotty. This is a Priority Automotive sky view. Wanted to show you down at the ocean front. The waves not too bad there. Yesterday we had a small craft advisory up for our coastal waters. We don't have that today. It is still out there a little choppy though. I showed you those waves. The sea's running 3 to 5 feet. Southwest winds 10 to 15 knots on the ocean and around 10 to 15 early this morning on the bay. But those winds are going to ease as we head through the afternoon. Let's take a look at the forecast, and you can see as we look at the satellite and radar images through the mid-morning here on Tuesday, we are dry and there are breaks in the clouds, so it's not a bad day at all. Very, very comfortable out there. As we get into the future cast, you can see for the most part, temperatures upper 50s this morning, but it's where we're headed that gets me excited. Upper 60s this afternoon. You'll notice our graph model here projects a little sprinkle out there towards I-95. This is around 3 o'clock. I doubt we're going to see it. Most of the models are dry, and there's really not a good chance, but I'll just say, just in case, there's a low risk of a stray sprinkle kind of pushing through. You see how the graph model tries to hold on to that. So slight chance that we could see something around 20%. That's it. As we head into the evening, it's going to be mild overnight. Little backdoor front comes in with a wind shift. Not a big deal. It's not going to provide any cooler weather. What we are going to see tomorrow, temperatures back up into the 60s as the winds shift back to the south. You see those upper 60s, so more really warm air for Hampton Roads and here in the mid-Atlantic. We do have that front, though, approaching late Wednesday, and you can see the winds out ahead of it coming in from the southwest. As we go Wednesday evening, there's going to be a chance for some scattered showers through the area. We're going to be watching for that. The winds will shift overnight, and this is at 1:45. You can see the winds shifting right here. There's that frontal position, and this is going to cool us down into Thursday and Friday. So that comes through. The winds come out of the north. You see those north winds. Not too bad, but gusting maybe a little bit, around 15 miles per hour. So this is Thursday. Early in the morning, pre-sunrise, we're in the mid-50s at the airport. It falls, though, as we go into the day and during the afternoon. I expect temperatures Thursday to pretty much live in the mid to upper 40s as we go through the afternoon. And then into Friday, you see a few more clouds there creeping back into the picture, but eventually we'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine, and that colder air really settles in for the weekend. Now looking at any heavy rain, you can see the model there projecting less than 1/4 to 1/2 an inch across the entire area. And I don't even know that we're going to see that much. It may be more like, say, a trace to maybe 1/10 of an inch or so. That's probably it. Highs today, upper 60s, a mix of clouds and sunshine. What a day. If you like the warmer weather, get out, enjoy it today. If you've got some things maybe you need to take care of around the house, you've got your holiday decorations up, Some of the wet or windy conditions we've had over the past week maybe mess things up a little bit. Today's a great day to go out and tend that yard and take care of those yard decorations or whatever you might be having up for the holidays. You got to do some holiday shopping. What a day, right? Temperatures upper 60s, feeling good. Mid 60s for the peninsula, middle peninsula, upper 50s to near 60 for the eastern shore. Into northeast North Carolina, upper 60s to near 70 around Hertford, Elizabeth City, Edenton, about the same. Mid 60s at the Outer Banks. Overnight tonight, the low down around 52 degrees. It's going to be one of those nights where we see mostly cloudy skies or variably to mostly cloudy skies. Very low risk of an isolated shower. For tomorrow, back up to 68. We're leaving in the chances for showers. It's likely we see something, but I think it's really going to be late in the day, and especially into the evening. It should be after sunset tomorrow. Now, as we look ahead, Thursday and Friday are cooler. There's your big drop that we talked about. Saturday, 43. Sunday, 38. In the morning, temperatures on Sunday, upper 20s near the coast. That sets up a situation where inland areas will be a lot cooler than that. We're talking low to mid 20s for inland areas Sunday morning. And Monday, if that holds with mid 20s at the coast, I think inland areas, low 20s, maybe even some areas into the upper teens. Bottom line, very, very cold weather for Hampton Roads. Remember, it does warm up a little bit after that. I also want to remind you that you can always get our forecast to take with you on the go with our 13 News Now mobile app. It's a great way to stay in touch with our forecasts and our weather coverage. And again, you can find us on social media as well. You'll find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, Craig Moeller TV, and 13 Craig Moeller. So if you'd like to message me, if you have any suggestions or topics you'd like us to tackle with our weather desk, we always love to hear from you. All right, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Again, remember, you always catch these. We do them 9 a.m. Monday through Friday right here. It's the weather desk. And again, we look forward to giving you more live, deeper dives into the weather. And remember, it's always available on our 13 News Now Plus app. It's free and on your time. So enjoy it. If, you're traveling for the holidays, be safe out there. I wish you and your family a happy holidays, and we'll see you next time.